What is going on, beautiful people? My name is BetSam, and this is going to be the final fight card that I break down for 2025. We have Brandon Raw Dog Royval taking on Manal Kape. It's a banger. This is a certified banger to send us off for the Christmas period, for the end of 2025. It's not a big pay-per-view, but it's a fun card, and I will thoroughly enjoy it, especially knowing that I don't have fights for 6 weeks following. So let's get into it. First fight of the night, we have Teresa Blader taking on Jamie Lynn Horth. Guys, this is a matchup where Teresa Blader, in my opinion, is the much better athlete. She is a large fighter for this division, standing at 5'9". She's only 24 years old, and she showed us that she's pretty dang good. Outside of her lone loss to Natalia Silva back in, 3 years ago now. Yeah, wow. 3 years ago it was that Natalia Silva started off the finishing sequence with a spinning back kick. The only loss that we've seen from Teresa Blader, but I will say Natalia Silva is a bit of a beast. She came back as well, bounce back victory over Gabriela Fernandez, where she used the grappling to secure the victory there. And, since then we haven't seen her for 2 years and 5 months. And that's something I want to speak on, is that Teresa Blader, it's not like she's just been, delayed or this or that. There's been multiple fight pullouts due to staph infection. There's been talks in the background of a knee injury, and there's even been, a lot of issues with her finances. Teresa Blader not being able to put together a fight camp. It could be due to the fact that, the money has dried up. She's only 24 years old, and money's not exactly pouring in. She doesn't have sponsors that are backing her to a huge degree where she can be paying for all these fight camps when she's not making it to the fight. So I think Teresa Blader's financial incentives will never have been more high than this fight here against Jamie Lynn Horth. I think it is a win at all costs position for her. And you could look at that and say that this is going to be too much pressure for her, all the rest of it. But I genuinely believe that Teresa Blader is somebody who's going to be around this division for a very long time to come. And I see her having a lot of success within the UFC. And if we look over at the Jamie Lynn Horth side, in her last 5, it's Haley Cowan. This decision victory, Haley Cowan isn't exactly a glowing fighter. Goes out there, loses to Veronica Hardy. Veronica Hardy, in my opinion, is far too small to be defeating somebody the likes of Jamie Lynn Horth. So that's a bit of a blemish on her record there. Goes out there and defeats Ivana Petrovic by split decision. We know that Ivana Petrovic isn't exactly a high-level fighter, so take that for what you will. Then obviously the loss to Miranda Maverick here. Miranda Maverick is a pretty good wrestler, but the size advantage that Jamie Lynn Horth had in that fight was nullified by the fact that Miranda Maverick was going to get her to the mat and keep her there, which is what I see Teresa Blader doing as well. And then obviously we had Vanessa Demopoulos stepping up on what I believe was 6 days notice. And, she did defeat her pretty handily, but wasn't able to finish her, wasn't able to really capitalize in any true position. So, I would have expected more from Jamie Lynn Horth in that position. I think, the fact that she's got no finishes in the UFC whatsoever is showcased to the fact that she isn't exactly a high-level fight finisher. And I expect her to get taken down here. Teresa Blader's huge, 5'9", 71-inch reach. She's bigger than Jamie Lynn Horth, and Jamie Lynn Horth is kind of a size merchant in a lot of her own victories. So I'm going to say Teresa Blader, despite all of the outside, circumstances and all the red flags there, I think she comes in here and she makes light work of Jamie Lynn Horth. I'm going to expect either a unanimous decision 30-27 or a finish. So give me Teresa Blader here. Pretty high confidence pick if I knew that she was coming in healthy, prepared, and locked in. Then we have Alan Fry taking on Guilherme Pat. This is a fight where I was looking at this initially, aiming to target Alan Fry as an underdog here. Plus 150 underdog. I know that he trains out there with Derek Brunson and his crew, down at Brunson MMA and Fitness Club. I was aiming to pick Alan Fry here as the wrestler. But when I did the tape, right, the first thing that steps off the page is that Alan Fry is 6-0, but his opponents are absolute bums. This is the worst of the worst, the lowest of the low. You're talking the absolute tapology, the scum here. These are just fat guys in warehouses getting beat up by this fella. On the other side here, we have Guilherme Pat. You watch his fights and you can see, especially if you look into, I believe it was his last bout here against Mauricio Carreras over in LFA. This guy is a specimen. He looks the part. He is physically in phenomenal shape. And I think in that last bout as well, it showed that his opponent was blatantly on steroids. I mean, he was pissing so hot, he would have melted the goddamn cup. Yet Guilherme Pat is, going out there, relentless, stopping most of the takedowns, getting up when he is taken down. and then ultimately finding a finish in that third round. So Jeremy Pat in this position, I think we're actually getting a discount based off the fact that we also haven't seen him fight against high level competition. But I think that he is physically all the way there. You know, he's a much better athlete. So I'm taking Jeremy Pat, and I could be butchering this name here, but I'm taking him here at a relatively high confidence based off of what I've seen. Obviously, the room for improvement is there. But, I mean, look, if you look at Alan Fry, his win over Justin Frazier's about 51 years old in fight years. Fat little dude doing absolutely nothing in there. And Alan Fry was still getting landed on. So I'm going to take Jeremy Pat to win this fight by KO. Then we have Luana Santos taking on Melissa Cronin. This is a matchup where, number one, first thing I want to point out is that Luana Santos is fine as fuck, okay? She is absolutely drop-dead gorgeous, and she does pose for it in her Instagram and all the rest of it. But I want to say that she is actually a pretty good athlete and fighter as well. It's not like she's just going out here for thirst trap picks and all the rest of it. You know, 4-1 in her last 5. You see that win over Juliana Miller where she handed her a defeat via KO, getting the hands going there. Stephanie Egger, obviously, you know, not the highest level competition, but goes out there, confidently wins a decision, submits Maria Agapova. The only blemish of recent history is against Casey O'Neill. And in this matchup, I want to say I was there live for this. This fight took place, and I was there at the event for this. And Luana Santos did not look the best, but I also do want to say that Casey O'Neill came out firing on all cylinders. So this was an instance of Luana Santos not being on her best day, as well as Casey O'Neill really turning up for that fight. So I did want to point that as well, and has since defeated Tainara Lisboa, common opponent here from both of these guys. Obviously, the KO there from Melissa Cronin, and then on the side of Luana Santos by submission. I do want to say that Melissa Cronin is big as fuck, you know, 5'9", you know, a large individual for this weight class. Luana Santos, a little bit undersized for this division, but I think with that undersized aspect is going to come speed, is going to come skill, and I think that, you know, the lighter women's skill is going to come into play here. I think Luana Santos will get Melissa Cronin down. I think she will actually succeed in either getting outright takedowns or judo tosses, and I could see her having great success with the grappling. So I'm going to say Luana Santos here as a slight favorite, you know, a very modest favorite, is going to go out here and out-grapple Melissa Cronin, and I'll say she wins this fight by decision, you know. We're not going to half-ass pick and go wishy-washy. We're going method of victory for each and every single fight. Give me Luana Santos to win this fight via decision, although a submission is live as well. And then we have Sean Sharf taking on Stephen Asplund. You know, this is the people's main event right here. You know, Sean Sharf obviously coming off of that loss, you know, back in 2024, a year ago now, to Junior Tafa, where he turned up on short notice and basically, you know, blew his load, and then Junior Tafa just got him out of there. You know, and on the other side here, we have Stephen Asplund coming off of 3 straight victories, 3 straight stoppages, all KOs. The most recent against Anthony Garascio, where it was like a 15-second KO, something like that. This dude's fun. He's likable. He's hot on the mic, and, you know, he looks like a bag of milk, but he fights with his heart, and he fights with his hands. Sean Sharf, from what we've seen, sucks, and Stephen Asplund has overperformed. So, you know, even though the line here at minus 250 is a little bit steep, you might say, I think Stephen Asplund has to be the side, and I'd be very confused if I saw anybody picking Sean Sharf outright other than simply trying to bet value. So I'm taking Stephen Asplund, and let's say he does find a knockout in round 2. Then we got Neil Magny, the Haitian sensation. That's an old picture of Neil as well, I do want to add right there. Taking on Yaroslav Amisov. And listen, guys, Neil Magny, he's played spoiler a lot, you know. In his last 5 years, spoiler against Mike Malott, you know, obviously gets smoked by Morales, smoked by Pratis, but then, you know, spoiler against Alizia Zaleski, spoiler once again against Jake Matthews. This guy's cashing big time as an underdog. If you're betting Neil Magny as an underdog here, I understand it from a system play, but I want to caution you because, you know, Yaroslav Amisov, 28-1 record. Very shiny record, and that didn't come on accident. Obviously, the level of competition that Neil Magny's faced is absolutely few and far between what we've seen from Yaroslav Amisov. But what we have seen from Yaroslav Amisov is him go out there, defeat a Logan Storley, go out there, defeat a Douglas Lima, defeat Logan Storley more convincingly. Obviously, the lone loss here to Jason Jackson, but I will say Jason Jackson's a much better athlete than a Neil Magny. Then he's gone out there and submitted Curtis Millender. Now he's in the UFC. I think this young gentleman is going to be looking to prove something here. I think he's going to go out here and hunt for a finish, whether that is by submission, which I'm leaning to, or by knockout. But I'm going to say official prediction is Yaroslav Amisov to get his grappling going and submit Neil Magny. We've seen Neil Magny submitted a bunch inside the UFC, so I expect Yaroslav Amisov to go out here in rounds 1 or 2 and find himself a submission. Then we have Joanderson Breitu taking on Isaac Thompson. This is a short notice matchup. We did originally have Joanderson Breitu scheduled against Melsik Bagdasaryan. Now we have the young Australian, fighting out of America. Yeah, it's Isaac Thompson here. He's 4-1 in his last 5. His only loss coming by way of split decision to Shaheen Santana almost 2 years ago. Outside of that, he has been performing over in LFA with 3 straight victories. The most recent against Akbarjan Islamboev, who is a Uzbekistan grappler. So, we've seen that Isaac Thompson has gone out there and fought some decent level of competition. He fights out of Team Alpha Male, so he's at a good gym. He's stepping up here on short notice, but don't be surprised if you see this kid overperform, because he's coming out of that good gym. He's a hot prospect, 9-2, pretty shiny record, going out there and causing upsets statistically against some of his opponents. Now he comes in here, though, very tall task ahead of him in Joanderson Breitu, because Breitu is action personified, whether it's in the grappling or the striking. He is going to hunt for your neck. He is going to hunt to knock you out. He will kick your legs clean off your body. If you go back and you look at his last 5, that win over Weston Wilson, vicious ground and pound. Jonathan Pierce submits it with a ninja choke, and then Jack Shaw kicks his leg until his shin was popped open and the doctor stuck his finger inside of it. But he is coming off of that split decision loss to William Gomez and then a unanimous decision loss to Pat Sabatini. And the question you have to ask yourself is Isaac Thompson going to be able to hold down Joanderson Breitu? Because that is the path to victory that we've seen so far from the opponents in the UFC that have had success against Joanderson Breitu. Even in that Jonathan Pierce fight, Pierce was having great success controlling him until he got submitted. So it is a concern of Joanderson Breitu. I'm going to say that it's going to be too much too soon for Isaac Thompson here. And at the time of recording, I do want to say Joanderson Breitu is only just over a 2-1 favorite. So I'm going to say the value is on Breitu here. He was the one scheduled to take this fight. Isaac Thompson is stepping in on short notice here. That has to be factored in. And also the bright lights theory that the UFC debut could just be too much for the young gentleman. So I'm going to take Breitu here, and I think he does what he does and wins inside the distance. We'll say officially KO. We'll go KO for Breitu. Then we have Amanda Lamosh taking on Jillian the Savage Robertson. Guys, this is a fight where a lot of people are going to be on the dog, and the dog is Amanda Lamosh here, sitting at a plus 130 underdog. And I do understand the approach here, because in theory, if she stops the takedown, she is the better striker. She should be able to outwork Jillian Robertson. But I don't think it's as simple as stopping the takedowns. I think the takedown attempts are also going to be in the favor of Jillian Robertson. This could be a Merab Dvalishvili type performance where we see Jillian Robertson get 1 or 2 takedowns, but 20 to 30 attempts. And then all the judges have to score is Jillian Robertson just giving us effort over all the rounds, so then she wins a decision. The other alternative, she does have success in the grappling, in which case I think she submits Amanda Lamosh. But either way, my pick has to be Jillian Robertson here. Look, it's these losses here, Weili Zhang, Verna Jandiroba, and Tatiana Suarez. Obviously, all 3 of them are high-level name value, but the other common factor there is that they all out-grappled Amanda Lamosh. I'm a Jillian Robertson believer. At 30 years old, I think she's still improving. I think she fights her ass off. Give me Jillian Robertson to go out here and win this fight, most likely by decision, but a submission is live there as well. I'm going to go Jillian Robertson to win by decision. Then we have King Green taking on Lance Gibson Jr. Guys, this is another fight where it kind of looks more lopsided than it is. I know that King Green is coming in here and you guys expect them to turn up and put away this young prospect very easily because he's got the better boxing. And you look at the lone loss of Lance Gibson Jr. and you see, ooh, a jab is what knocked him out. You know who has a really nice jab is Bobby King Green. And I understand that 2 + 2 often equals 4. But what you're not understanding is that Bobby King Green has lost 3 of his last 5. Not only has he lost 3 of his last 5, he got finished up by Jalen Turner in one of the worst stoppages in UFC history. Got the shit beat out of him before the ref decided to step in. Submitted by Paddy Pimblett, and then goes out there, spinning wheel kick, finished up by Mauricio Huffy. Hasn't fought in 9 months. It's closing into the end of the year. You know what I think is that Bobby King Green is coming in here for a paycheck. And if you're turning up just to cash a paycheck and your heart's not in it, I don't know how well it's going to go for you. He's almost 40 years old. I know he's got that young swagger, so people don't think about that. But he's been chinned a few times recently. He's coming in here against Gibson Jr. This guy is a second-generation UFC fighter. His father did have a fight in the UFC. His father runs a gym. Lance Gibson Jr. is probably the star pupil out there. And he's been fighting some decent-level competition over there in Bellator. Now he's fighting over in this Conquest cage where the people aren't as good. I do agree. But he's getting a short-notice call-up. And I think there is a possibility he upsets here. This dude's in fucking phenomenal shape. You take a look at him, and if you take the head off of him, you know, he looks like a certain other UFC fighter who's out here having absolutely hella success in Jacoby Smith. So Lance Gibson Jr., man, he might play spoiler, you know. I'm gonna ever so slightly lean towards Bobby King Green just based off of legacy. But if you're asking me where the value is, I would say it's in Lance Gibson Jr. and specifically in Lance Gibson Jr. to chin Bobby King Green. So low confidence pick here. Bobby King Green to win by decision. Then we have African Savage Kennedy and Sachuku taking on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist in Marcus Bucha. This is a fight where I have a hot take, and I'll tell you right now, either my hot take looks really good or it's going to look really bad, and there's going to be no in-betweens here, right? My hot take is that Marcus Bucha is the value side here, and he's going to win this fight by either submission or decision, but I'm going to say the value is on the decision because of how wide that line is. So I'm taking Marcus Bucha here by decision. And the reason being is not because of what we've seen in his UFC career. It's what I've seen in his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu career. You can see that Marcus Bucha has a whole bunch of BJJ wins, but if you go and you do the deep dive into it, a lot of those are with guard passing, it's with control time, and these are decision victories in BJJ tournaments. He's not out here just submitting people left, right, and center. So I think against Kennedy and Sachuku, if he's not easily submitting him, I could see him just cementing positions, landing just enough ground and pound, or, you know, just enough of a submission threat to just keep him where he needs him to be and winning this fight by decision. But also, if Kennedy and Sachuku gives up his neck, then I could see Marcus Bucha either getting a hidden arm triangle, a rear naked choke, something to that effect. I don't think Marcus Bucha is the type of guy to get submissions off of his back, such as heel hooks or triangle chokes, especially, you know, inside of the UFC where they're not in gi, etc. So, Kennedy and Sachuku here, he is live for a knockout. The dude is big. He is athletic, you know. He has shown us in the heavyweight division that he can find the strikes with his high accuracy, his speed, and all the rest of it. But if Marcus Bucha gets the takedowns going early, it's going to be a long night for Kennedy and Sachuku. I'm going to say Marcus Bucha gets it done here. Low confidence pick, but I think high value plays there. Then we have Morgan Charrier taking on Melquizael Costa. This is an unfortunate fight in the sense that I like both of these guys, and I really do want to see both of them win this fight. But obviously, there can only be one winner. And Morgan Charrier is the more athletic, more powerful individual of the two. And we have seen Melquizael Costa taken down in almost every single one of his fights. The only problem I have with that narrative is that Morgan Charrier seems to be a terrible minute winner. And he might just stand around and strike rather than just look to go out there and grapple Melquizael Costa. And he might think he's having success, and then Melquizael Costa is out here racking up strike after strike. Even though they don't hurt Morgan Charrier, you know, he's adding up on the numbers with the kicks and circling and moving, landing kicks and lands some damage. And then maybe even gets a takedown of his own, solidifies a position, takes it back, something like that. So I'm going to say Melquizael Costa wins this fight by decision. Not because he's necessarily the better athlete, but because Morgan Charrier has shown me time and time again he can make fatal mistakes as far as decision fights go. You know, most of his losses come by way of decision, and I think this could be another one here. I like the IQ of Melquizael Costa here. Give me Milky Costa to get it done. Then we have Cesar Almeida taking on Cesario Oleksiejczyk. Guys, Cesar Almeida is older, he is slower, all the momentum is on Cesario Oleksiejczyk here. I don't give a damn. Give me Cesar Almeida to go out here. This guy's fought Alex Pereira 3 times in kickboxing. Didn't get finished up once. And he won one of those fights. Now he's coming in here as a dog in what I believe is going to be a kickboxing match. Hell no. Give me Cesar Almeida to go out here and knock out Cesario Oleksiejczyk. It's 5 times your money to play Cesar Almeida by KO. I love it. Absolutely send it. This dude's vicious. He's violent. He's compact. He's got a lot of power. And I think if Cesario Oleksiejczyk doesn't mind his P's and Q's here, he's going to be laying flat on his back with his eyes up, staring at the stars, wondering where the hell the time went. Then we have Giga Chicad, the Ninja, taking on El Chino, Kevin Vajos. Guys, if you haven't seen the video already, click out of this one. Jump into Slam of the Week. Slam of the Week is Kevin Vajos. I think this dude is absolutely durable. I think he's a marauder. I love his boxing combinations. I love his fight style. I love his energy. I love his attitude. I love the youth. And I think that he goes out here and destroys Giga Chicad. I think he gets it done inside of 2 rounds. But even on the money line, I still think this value. He's sitting at $1.40 on some books right now. Kevin Vajos is a parlay piece, in my opinion. I think that he is the Slam of the Week. You know, there are all manner of reasons for you to pick Kevin Vajos here. And I think Giga Chicad hates getting pressured. He can be controlled on the ground. He does leave his chin up in the air when he backs up, sometimes in a straight line after getting caught. And I think Kevin Vajos just has all the upside here. So I'm taking Vajos, the highest confident pick on the card. Let me see him go out there and get another victory. And it'll be beautiful to see because this will be the highest name value opponent that he's been able to snag so far. Obviously, in the main event, we have Brandon Raw Dog Royval taking on Kape. And the narrative going into this one, and it's not my narrative, it's all the people's, is Kape is going to be more athletic. He's going to hit harder, but Brandon Royval is going to have the better cardio. He's going to have more volume, all the rest of it. And I do agree with both of those things. So if you want to take a Brandon Royval by decision, I do understand the take. But I just think that 5 rounds to work, Kape's going to find a way to chin Brandon Royval. Brandon Royval gets hit by everybody. And, you know, against Joshua Van, he was getting hit a lot. And even when he was having success, it's because he was getting hit. So I'm going to say Kape puts down Brandon Royval, finishes him up with the strikes. It could be a submission started with strikes, but I'm going to say it's going to be an outright KO or TKO situation. So give me Kape to win this fight by KO. I'll be rooting for Brandon Royval, though. I'm not a big Kape fan, and I do like Royval. It's hard not to. He brings the action. He brings the fun. He's like the flyweights freaking Dustin Poirier. You know, brings the action. So give me Kape here, but as a fan, I'll be rooting for Brandon Royval to win an all-action decision where he takes over late. That is the predictions, guys. And if you want to sign up to WeWantPicks.com/BetSam, the link is in the description. Don't forget, the Slam of the Week has absolutely been crushing it. If you've been tailing it the past 10, 11 weeks, you've been making absolute stank, absolute profit. Even last week, we hit absolutely perfect there. Jalen Turner with that round 1 finish. We had Peyton Talbot. He went out there, dominant decision against Henry Cejudo. Thank you all for watching, guys. 2025 has been fucking amazing, and 2026 is going to be even better. I appreciate each and every single one of you.